Welcome to the first episode of Kingdom's Cornerstone News. I'm Jamie Keever, and if you're a follower of Christ and a citizen of the kingdom that will have no end, then this newscast is for you. There's a lot going on in our world right now. Not only are there wars and rumors of wars, but everywhere you look, we're seeing an attack on traditional family values and a strategic and deliberate effort by political parties, big tech, Hollywood, and all levels of education to redefine family and our roles within them. It's time for the church to take a stand and fight back. But the church doesn't fight as the world does. No. We're held to a different standard, a higher standard. And so, after a lot of thought and prayer, I've decided to create the first newscast that I know of designed specifically for citizens of the kingdom that will have no end, the kingdom which is even now in our midst. Kingdom's Cornerstone News will highlight global events as well as introduce you to missions, nonprofits, and churches that are all doing amazing things and ways you can support their efforts. We'll also talk to people with real perspectives on stories relevant to you. Now, before we get into the content of the show, very quickly I'd like to share with you the genesis of this project. It was several things happening around the same time and over a period of time that brought KCN into fruition. But the very moment I knew I needed to do something, not even sure what that something could be, was after watching a film available for free on YouTube called Sheep Among Wolves. Produced by a ministry called Frontier Alliance International, Sheep Among Wolves challenged my whole understanding of what it meant to be Christian, what it means to serve, what it means to answer the Great Commission. I'd like to play for you an excerpt from that movie right now.
There are people that are my brothers and sisters that I talk to all the time, and they're very close to me. They almost feel, and they are in some ways even closer to me than my natural sister and brother and family and immediate family. And I have to think about this, saying, what if we're all together one day and radical Muslims break our door down and they start raping, for example, all the girls in there? What would I think? And even what was crazier is I went and asked one of them. I said, what do you think what are you gonna do if a guy, not just one guy, what if they come and gang rape you? What are you gonna think at that moment? And this ex-radical Muslim said this to me, that is now a passionate follower of Christ, a fiery follower of Christ, said, I have given up my rights, I have given up my position, I have given up everything for Jesus, I have given up my desires, I have given up even my future. And at that moment when they come and rape me, I will close my eyes and say, now I offer my body as a living sacrifice for you, as it just says in Romans 12:1. And when that girl said that to me, that blew my mind, how someone can just go in the secret place of their heart, find Jesus in that moment when they're getting raped, and say, Lord, on my knees, I offer you my body as a living sacrifice. And that's what God is doing to radical female Muslims. He is transforming them into radical, insane, crazy Christians that, I mean, you can't even put in words what that girl said and how powerfully deep what she said and how strong and what grace must be on her life that she could say that so strongly and so confidently, to say at that moment, I will picture Jesus and say, now I give you my body.
Now, there's a sequel to Sheep Among Wolves, and it's available on YouTube for free as well. FAI puts out so much free content through their YouTube channel and app, incredibly sound biblical teaching, much of it from Dalton Thomas, who has an incredible way of presenting information that cuts like a scalpel. It's a love-hate thing, though. I love the videos, but I'm often uncomfortable with how close they hit home. FAI will be a huge source of information for this show, so please check them out. But there's a lot of other stuff too out there I'll be using, other content producers that offer unique angles into this very complex story of creation, and everything will in some way be relevant to residents of the kingdom that will have no end. And with all that out of the way, let's take a look at some of the news going on in our world. President Biden announced last week an official date the U.S. war in Afghanistan will end.
Our military mission in Afghanistan will conclude on August 31st. The drawdown is proceeding in a secure and orderly way, prioritizing the safety of our troops as they depart. Our military commanders advised me that once I made the decision to end the war, we needed to move swiftly to conduct the main elements of the drawdown. And in this context, speed is safety. And thanks to the way in which we have managed our withdrawal, no one U.S. forces or any forces have been lost.
Sidestepping the issue of whose decision it was to leave Afghanistan, the fact remains the U.S. withdrawal has huge consequences for the region. And while U.S. commanders hand off the baton to the Afghan army, the Taliban have made rapid gains across the north of Afghanistan and now control more than a third of the 421 districts and district centers across Afghanistan. Meanwhile, Afghanistan President Ashraf Ghani questions the Taliban's motives and have called on them to lay down their arms, highlighting the damage they continue to inflict on the region. Now, it's worth noting a February 2020 agreement between the Taliban and the United States reportedly says the Taliban would not militarily capture provincial capitals. However, some provincial capitals, like Kandahar to the south, are even now under siege. Video captured July 8th appears to show Afghan gunmen firing celebratory shots after it seized a key border crossing, this one with Iran. This was the third border crossing insurgents have taken in the past week, previously seizing crossings with Tajikistan and Uzbekistan. The crossing is around 120 kilometers west of the city of Herat, the provincial capital. The Middle East, Israel, the entire region will be a huge topic on this show. It has prophetic significance and really demands Christians' attention and prayer. So please stay tuned for more. And we'll be right back.
When you're part of missionary medicine, it's going to change the lives of people for centuries.
This is why I do medical missions, is to be able to treat people and help people who otherwise wouldn't get help.
Missionary medicine is still one of the great tools for evangelism.
We have to be willing to enter into the suffering of others. And that's never easy, but our God is faithful.
We live in a very busy world, a very political world, a very noisy world. There's all kinds of distractions competing for your attention, your time, and your money. So it's easy to forget there are people out there, organizations out there dedicated to making a difference in this busy, distracted world. Our next guest is one of those unsung heroes, Abby Johnson. She's made national headlines several times, not too long back for the feature film Unplanned, based on the novel of her journey from a Planned Parenthood clinic director to a pro-life advocate, ultimately helping abortion workers leave the industry and find new employment. Abby, thank you for coming on, and thank you for being the first guest, the first live guest.
Of course, yeah, I'm so glad to be with you.
All right, so you know how strongly I feel about And Then There Were None. I've had the opportunity to get to know a lot of your team, but can you maybe explain for the audience who might not know what is And Then There Were None and what do you do?
Yeah, I mean, we help abortion clinic workers leave the abortion industry. I mean, it's pretty simple. We believe that our vision statement is simple. We believe that if there's no more abortion clinic workers, then there will be no more abortion clinics. And if there's no more abortion clinics, then there will be no more abortions. And so we're trying to end abortion from the inside out.
Yeah, I want to ask you more about that. But first, is it a religious organization? Do you have to be Christian or Catholic or any denomination to get help?
You absolutely do not. So, you know, of course, we know that true healing, just from my own journey and my own conversion experience and my own life, I know that my healing came from Jesus Christ. And so, that's part of my own life and my own testimony. But, Jamie, we have had atheists come through and then there were none. We've had a Muslim come through and then there were none. We had a Buddhist come through and then there were none. We have had people of all faith traditions, no faith tradition come through and then there were none. And, they are part of our tribe. They are, part of the beauty that brings us all together is that we have a similar shared experience. And we're coming from all different backgrounds, all different faith denominations, all different experiences. But it's that shared experience of working in the abortion clinic that makes us the same. And so we can love each other. We can have these shared experiences, even though we may have different backgrounds. And so, we help people who, are married, are single, are in the LGBT population. Anybody is welcome to be a part of our tribe, is welcomed into our tribe. And so, even though that was definitely a part of my testimony, it does not have to be a part of anyone else's testimony to get help.
Excellent. Now, isn't the abortion industry mostly nurses and doctors? I mean, can't they just find another job if they want to leave?
Yeah, that's a question I get asked a lot. So, it is made up of a lot of nurses and doctors, but honestly, the majority of people who are working day in and day out in these clinics are people who aren't certified at all in the medical industry. So, they're working as medical assistants, but most of them don't have the certification of a medical assistant. And so, when they decide to leave their jobs, but even Jamie, when these nurses decide to leave their jobs, even if they're lab technicians, even if they do have a certification, there's really something hanging over their head from the abortion industry. They are told that, we'll give you a bad reference if you leave us. We will blackball you from the medical industry. You'll never be able to work in the medical industry again. Some of our clients, some of our former workers, they say that, their time working in the abortion industry was like working in a cult. And it really sort of is. I mean, you're brainwashed like you're in a cult. You're sort of blackmailed like you're in a cult. Many of the workers, when they leave the abortion industry, myself included, they find themselves in a courtroom against their former employer. The abortion workers that leave are the greatest threat to the abortion industry because we know all of the secrets, right? We know all the dirty laundry. We know where all the secrets are hidden. We know where all the bodies are buried, right? So they don't want us to speak publicly. They don't want us to do shows like this. They don't want us to talk about everything that we know. And so they want to keep us quiet, and they will do anything at any cost to make sure that our voices are silenced.
And unfortunately, it doesn't necessarily end there. What about the church? I mean, right or wrong, I can understand an employer maybe being reluctant to hire an abortion worker, but can you talk about reactions you've seen from some within the church when it's discovered someone maybe has gotten help from your nonprofit organization?
Yeah. I would like to say that, everyone in the church has been supportive, or everyone, even in the pro-life movement, has been supportive of, and then there were none, supportive of the work that we're doing. But you know what? I remember when I first started and then there were none, I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be so great, right? No one has ever had an organization that reaches out to abortion clinic workers. I mean, how fantastic. What a great idea, right? I thought I was coming with some amazing idea to the pro-life movement. And I remember, when we started and then there were none, we had our first webcast, June 6th of 2012. And I remember the comments that I got, and these were, mainly from Christian pro-lifers. And they were saying to us, why would we ever want to help an abortion clinic worker. You know, they've made their bed, they can lie in it. And I thought, well, gosh, I mean, if you're a Christian, don't you believe in God's saving mercy? Don't you believe in salvation? Don't you believe in God's grace? And it was like a punch in the gut to me. I mean, as someone, I am a person who helped to facilitate over 22,000 abortions. And these were people who were saying this to me. And I thought, wait, you believed in mercy for me. Why not believe in mercy for them? And, you know, it's been a journey, but I am seeing progress. I am seeing progress in the movement. I am seeing progress in the church. You know, before I would, you know, post these things on social media and it would be me in the comment section, right? Like defending these people and saying, wait a minute, you know, we need to have mercy on those who have repented. Hold on, right? You know, it's, and, you know, I've always said it, God leaving the 99 to save the one doesn't make a lot of sense unless you are that one, right? And I have been that one. And I would venture to say that anyone who is a Christian has been that one.
Yeah, and so that's why it's so shocking for me to hear some of those comments. But let's rewind a little bit if we could. There was a lot of controversy because the movie Unplanned visually told the story of a really important moment for you. We're going to take a look at that clip, but if there are any sensitive eyes, you may want to fast forward 1 minute and 45 seconds.
Megan said that you needed some assistance.
I only do ultrasound-guided procedures. I want you to hold the probe.
This might be a little cold, okay?
Don't move.
I'll take my tubing. Okay.
How's that?
All right, a little to the left, angle down just slightly. That's better.
Weaker. Hold still.
Stay still.
You hold my arm, but you can't wiggle it.
Whoa.
Want to get done, don't you? Deep breath.
Just hold the probe in place so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, up there.
It just moved away from the catheter.
They always move. That's why I do it this way.
Abby, would it be fair to say all of this and then there were none, your advocacy for the pro-life movement, your ultimate change of heart as a Planned Parenthood clinic director, are all really the result of what went on in your head during that one moment?
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I mean, there had been a few moments that had taken place over 2009, being told that we needed to implement abortion quotas and being told we were, building an abortion facility that was going to kill babies up to 6 months of pregnancy. There had been a few things over the past year where I feel like my heart had been sort of softened to the humanity of the unborn. But really, I feel like all of those moments were preparing me for that moment, so that I could see what was really taking place in the womb in a way that I had never seen before, so that my eyes would be open, so that the veil would be lifted. I could see the humanity of the unborn in the womb, and so that I could walk away. I think if those things hadn't have happened, maybe I wouldn't have been ready to take that step. Maybe I wouldn't have had, the faith to make that next move. But because, God knew what he was doing and orchestrating every step for me. And so because all of those things had taken place before, I was ready to make that next move.
That's awesome. So how did you turn this into the most incredible and frankly unique, only one of its kind organization that helps abortion workers leave the industry?
Well, I wrote my book, Unplanned, in 2011. It came out 1/11/11, and I wrote it really in hopes that abortion clinic workers, those still in the industry, would pick it up and read it, maybe as a critic, but would think, who is this jerk, that left Planned Parenthood and wrote this book, right? That's sort of what I thought. And they read the book. I was hoping they would read the book, and they did. And so within just a few months of Unplanned being released, I suddenly had 17 abortion workers who had reached out to me, who had said they picked it up as a critic, but they found truth in it. And they were asking me, would you help me leave? And my husband and I were looking around, were there organizations to help people like me, people like these abortion clinic workers, and there wasn't any. And so then we really started praying, and we said, okay, God, can you put it on the heart of someone to start an organization to help abortion clinic workers? And, we were really praying that fervently. And then we realized, he was sort of knocking on our heart saying, yeah, it's you, right? I'm putting it on your heart. And so that's when, and then There Were None was birthed.
And, it doesn't end there with helping people leave the industry. What does healing look like for workers who reach out to you for help? You had mentioned healing. How does And Then There Were None make that happen?
Yeah, so, we really provide a comprehensive program. So we have, it's sort of that hierarchy of needs, right? So when they come to us, they may have just left their job. Sometimes we're on the phone with them as they are walking out the door of their clinic. So we need to help get them stable, right? So we want to make sure they're not going to lose their home. We want to make sure they have food on the table for their family. So we're going to take care of those needs and make sure they are financially stable. That's part of where donations go, to make sure that nobody's going to be homeless, nobody's going to go without food, right? So we're going to, replace that income, make sure that they're taken care of. Because once somebody recognizes what I'm doing here is wrong, what I'm doing here is evil, we don't want them to stay in that place another day. We want them to leave. We don't want them to say, well, I'm going to stay here until I get another job because I don't want to lose my paycheck. No, we will replace that paycheck. We want you out. So that's one of the services that we offer for them. So we want to get them, situated financially, make sure that they're stable. We have case managers that work with them, headhunters that work with them, making sure that they are looking for jobs. We have a professional resume writer on staff. He gets their resume up to date. He has literally written a beautiful resume off of a napkin that somebody wrote their resume on. He is phenomenal. We have job coaches on staff to work with them. The case managers are really their point people. So they are working with them, befriending them. They're with them through this transition. It's a very, emotional transition. It can be spiritually challenging if they are a person of faith. Of course, there will be many spiritual attacks coming at them if they are, spiritually inclined. So we want to get them in a church home if that's something that they desire. So we work with them on that. And then we also have licensed professional counselors on staff. And so if that's something that they feel like they need, which most of them do, we want to get them into professional counseling because many of these clients experience severe trauma, PTSD. They have nightmares, things that they've experienced in the clinic. They come out through anxiety, depression. 38% of our clients experience suicidal ideation. The national average is something like 6%. Our clients are 38%, and 12% have actually attempted suicide. So, we have a mental health crisis on our hands when workers actually do take the step and leave their facilities. So that's why professional counseling is so important. We also have a healing retreat program, which is just a beautiful program where the workers come together in group therapy form. We have those ongoing throughout the year to really build up that tribe and that sisterhood. And so it's really a comprehensive program. Whatever these women and sometimes men, but it's primarily women, whatever these clients need, we are literally there to serve them and take care of those needs.
Abby, won't clinics just hire more workers?
Sometimes they do. But what we have seen is that in some areas, and we've seen this in a couple of places, we're trying to create a stigma around working in the abortion industry, right? It's not normal to work at an abortion clinic. And that's what we're trying to create a stigma around that. You don't want to work in an abortion clinic. It's not normal. It's not a healthy environment, right? And so we're having success at doing that. And we've actually seen several abortion facilities close across the country. And they cite that they closed because they could not find staff. We were actually able to drain a couple of facilities of their entire staff. We drained the entire clinic of their staff, and the clinic ended up closing because they could not replace their staff. They just could not find anybody who wanted to work in an abortion clinic, which is fantastic. That's exactly what we want, right? And another thing that started happening was that a lot of these abortion clinic workers were coming forward, and they knew, like I said before, they knew of violations. They knew of health code violations. They knew the dirty secrets, right? The dirty laundry of the abortion facility. And they actually wanted to come forward. They wanted to talk to local authorities, state authorities, sometimes even federal authorities about what was going on inside of their facilities where they worked. And so we were able to facilitate that conversation, and we've been able to shut down 28 abortion facilities where these workers were previously employed. So that's actually happening too because these workers are leaving. So yes, sometimes they do just replace the employees, but the important thing is that these people, these 600 men and women who have left, they are no longer part of this dehumanization cycle. And that's what matters. It matters to these 600 people. And the people that they replace them with, well, guess what? We'll be waiting for them too. Right? When they decide to get out of the industry, we're here for them too. But we believe that slowly but surely, these abortion facilities will close. We believe that these abortion clinic workers do have the information that is needed to shut down these abortion facilities. And we believe that it's happening. We're already seeing that it's happening.
Say an abortion worker or someone who knows an abortion worker might be watching and wants to find out more. What can they do?
Yeah, go to abortionworker.com. Even if you've been an abortion worker many years ago, we're here for you. And that's one of the things that we found, Jamie, was that we started getting emails from women who had kept this secret of being an abortion worker for 20 or 30 years. They had worked in the industry in the 80s, right? In the 70s, and they had never told anyone that they had ever worked in the abortion clinic. And so they were living with this trauma for years and years of their life in secret. And so they felt like they were in bondage because of this. And so they started coming to our healing retreats. They started coming out and coming to our healing retreats and sharing this and experiencing freedom from this shame and this guilt that they had felt. And it was so beautiful to be able to experience that with them. And so, we know as Christians that there is no condemnation in Christ. There is no shame in Christ. And that's what we want everyone to experience that has ever been that's ever participated in abortion, whether it's something that they've had an abortion, they've been a worker in an abortion clinic, they've taken someone to have an abortion, whatever it is, we don't want you to experience that bondage anymore. We want you to set that free. And so that's part of what our healing program is all about. And so even if you're a person that worked in the industry a long time ago, whether you're a current abortion clinic worker, you can get all of the resources that you need at our website, abortionworker.com.
Well, what about people like me who think what you're doing is amazing and want to support your efforts?
Yeah. Same website, abortionworker.com. There's a donate button there. We would absolutely love to have your support. You can make a tax-deductible donation there. We have some volunteer opportunities. We have a handwritten card ministry. We have a couple of other ways that people can get involved if they want to volunteer.
Abby Johnson, I could talk to you for hours. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for what your ladies do. Thank you for being the first guest on the show. I'd love to have you on in the future. Hopefully people will see this and support what you're doing, because I certainly do.
Thank you so much for having me on anytime.
Don't go away.
Hey guys, we're so excited to announce the official release date of our new film, Ballads of the Exodus. This is a film that was designed to be experienced in a communal, collective environment, to watch together over the course of half of a day. This is a long film. It's 3.5 hours long. Ballads of the Exodus is going to be released on the FAI app and the FAI app alone. So we're going to be putting out a number of videos and articles that are going to describe in a little bit more detail what the film is, the direction that we took in producing it, and also some ideas for what you could do in your community to host people and to pull people into this, which we hope would be a catalyst for going deep in the book of Exodus and in the scripture itself.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the first episode of Kingdom's Cornerstone News. Thank you so much for making it to the end. If you like this show, please give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing to it. We'd also very much appreciate you tweeting about it, letting your friends and family know about it, and just generally helping to get the word out. If you have a story idea, if you saw something today that got your attention, most importantly, if you'd like to know more about becoming a citizen of this kingdom I keep talking about here, please reach out to me personally at jamie@thekeeve.com. And while you can catch Kingdom's Cornerstone News on YouTube, you can always go to our main website to watch it as well, kcn.thekeeve.com. Thank you so much for watching Kingdom's Cornerstone News. I'm Jamie Keever, and we'll see you again next week.